my show had value and that, I'm sorry, that what I was doing had value. And in the end, I'm sorry, I try not to cry on TV. And where I come down on that is I'm not sorry. I am not sorry that I stood up for those things, because those things are of God.
Well, now former MSNBC host Joy Reid literally crying over her primetime cable news show being canceled. Reid saying she's proud of what she said and covered on the show. Not sorry for any past remarks made on the liberal network. The last episode, though, of the Readout, that was last night.
So her time slot will now be replaced by a show led by a trio of hosts, including Democratic strategist Simone Sanders Townsend, former Republican National Committee Chair Michael Steele, and journalist Alicia Menendez. And it comes after Reid made a number of inflammatory remarks on her show, dealing with everything from race to bashing the conservative movement. Charles Moran joins us now, former president of Log Cabin Republicans. Chris Arps is here, co-host of the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Welcome, gentlemen, and thanks so much for coming on today. All right, Charles, start us off here. Are you crying along with Joy Reid over her canceled show?
I think the liberal tears that have been shed over the last couple of months are enough to fill a couple of dozen swimming pools across the country. Look, Joy Reid has been living in an alternate reality that is based on a warped worldview that everything is defined by race and by some sort of strange virtue. And the victimization narrative that proved Democrats wrong and did them a lot of harm in the last election. Now that some of their USAID funding has gone away, and the fact that Democrats probably are starting to realize that their tactics, really since the Obama era, of the type of demonization just don't work and aren't going to be conning Americans anymore, they're having to make adjustments in their lineup because that type of race baiting, homophobia-laced bile that has been coming from Joy Reid and that show for the last couple of years just doesn't have a place in a modern American discourse.
Yeah, and you've got to think, remember, she talked about the show has value, but obviously not to viewership. It was down more than 50%. And at the end of the day, this is a company, this is a business. And if you don't have viewers, you don't have a business, because this is television. This is streaming for them as well. MSNBC host Rachel Maddow mourning the loss of her now former colleague's show, saying the network, she attacked her own network on air, is doing its staff disservice. Watch this.
It is also unnerving to see that on a network where we've got two non-white hosts in primetime, both of our non-white hosts in primetime are losing their shows. The people who get our shows on the air, they're really being put through the ringer. Dozens of producers and staffers, including some who are among the most experienced and most talented and most specialist producers in the building, are facing being laid off. That has never happened at this scale in this way before. The anxiety and the discombobulation is off the charts at a time when this job already is extra stressful and difficult. It is not news for me to tell you that the press and freedom of the press are under attack.
Chris, did you want to weigh in on that? She brought race into it immediately about this firing.
Look, when President Trump came into office, he campaigned on returning America to a meritocracy. And what we saw last night with the dismissal of Joy Reid was a meritocracy in action. Her show received dismal ratings. I think there were 50,000 people a night can watch that. Emma can attest to that a Cardinal Cubs game get more than that on the weekend. And also, too, these liberals seem to think that government programs and corporate jobs are something that they're entitled to. Look, MSNBC, NBC is laying off hundreds of people. Other companies are doing it. JP Morgan, Southwest Airlines, and other companies have done it as well. Joy Reid's show was failing. She was terminated, and that's what it's really all about.
And really,